record on this computer. So we're now recording. What about you, Ian? How are you going?
I've done nothing, Phil. I'm just simply sitting in for June today to hear what you have to say about firsthand. When we were away a couple of weeks ago, I brought up I think it was your video, and using the stick that you had lent to June, and I was able to program the stick that I returned to you. I programmed it into a watch. Wow. So I had a look at your video, and then I went on to YouTube and I found another one, and I was able to understand how you were building up that program.
Okay. Well, today.
Did you have to do something about your antivirus thing to be able to download the stuff onto your computer? Because Phil had to give me one that he'd already loaded because I couldn't do it on my computer. Did you have any problem with that?
No.
No.
I don't have. No, I'm just thinking. Both our computer. Well, these two computers. I'm sitting at June's now, and my laptop don't have a third-party antivirus. They're both running updated versions of Windows 10, and I use the Windows 10 software because the reason I do that is I once actually took Dorothy. This is very quick, Phil. I took Dorothy Johnson into Microsoft Office in Pitt Street once, and because she had something wrong with her laptop, and the guy looked at it straight away and he said, Windows 10 is fighting with your Norton. And he said, we need your computer, we'll clean it up. And he said, you don't have to have a third-party antivirus. And he said, just use the Windows 10. And I said to him, well, Windows 10 is a wanker antivirus thing. And he laughed and he said, yes, it used to be. He said, but when we, the general public, were running Windows 7, Microsoft were running Windows 10, which had an updated version of their own antivirus. So when they released Windows 10, they put the Microsoft version into their Windows 10. So I've not used a third-party antivirus for 3 years.
Okay.
And I don't have any issues. And it's very rarely that I'm downloading stuff and it says you need to turn your antivirus off. Sometimes I get a message from Microsoft saying, do you really want to do this? Do you know what you're doing? And then I say yes, and then they accept the program.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that's helpful.
Okay, I might start the presentation, but before I do that, I perhaps might go over and share my Dropbox with you, Anne, just to make sure that you can understand the steps of downloading a program. Okay, so what I'll do, I'm going to share my Dropbox screen. Share screen. Okay, you should be able to see my Dropbox.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to download a program, you would just click on, go right back to where it says Seniors Making Things, and there should be projects and programs. So say you wanted one from today, which is one of the weather ones. So we might go down and just pick one at random. I'm just thinking perhaps we might pick this one, which is ENV2 HAT version 4. Now, all you have to do is just click on that and then it will download. Oh, something went wrong.
No, well, that's what I get all the time.
Well, I'm really pleased something went wrong, Phil.
Well, it said something went wrong, but then it said download. So I actually pressed the download button and it's downloaded that program.
Oh, okay. So you press download anyway. But then I've had a bit of trouble with getting something like that and it says it can't open it. And so, okay, right.
Anyway, well, perhaps you could try that later. that, you know, you may get a message, and it could be that in the sharing of the messages, it might get something mixed up, and you could get
open that? You've downloaded it. Can you try and open it and see what happens?
Well, yeah, right on the bottom. If I show it on the folder, it's there. I'll bring it across. So this is my download folder.
Okay.
And it's there, and I could then transfer it to my normal folder for the M5
Yeah, but can you open it? See, I think sometimes with mine it's come up and it said it can't open some of the something else that I've had.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to transfer it now.
Just let me say something here, Phil, for Anne. If I'm telling you something you already know, Anne, just tell me. But if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see that file is an exe file. That's an executable file.
No, now, I haven't got down the Arduino. Yes.
It's exe. Now, computers and antivirus are very anti-exe files because they're the files that could destroy your computer. So you usually have to override a warning message from your computer to open exe files.
Okay, right. That might be what it is, yes.
But at least you've got it going with the online version.
Yes.
And that seems to be okay. Okay,
well,
so
with the YouTube thing, I can get that, yes. So, and sometimes I get, anyway, you keep going, sorry.
Okay, can you see my screen now? I'm sharing the presentation.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share a bit of news with you. The first thing is there's a new version of the firmware. Okay, so it's 1.7.3.1. Now, at this stage, I wouldn't worry about it. So just keep on doing what you're doing. But Anne, when you're on the online version, it will always give you the latest version. So you might notice that when you are online, instead of when we started, we were on 1.7.1, and they've updated it a couple of times. And one of the updates now, it supports a lot more of the Internet of Things, and things like connecting to the Amazon service. It supports that now. I guess a bit of bad news is that a lot of things from China, the prices are actually increasing now. So there's been a 30% increase on many of the components from Chinese stores, and that they're saying that's a result of the shortage of electronics, mainly due to cars. Apparently, there's a bigger demand for cars, and the components of electronics that go into cars are causing that shortage. So that's sort of interesting, because over the last 10 years, we've seen a fall in the price of lots of electronics, and now we're getting a bit of an increase. Okay, the next one, I've been talking to Blacktown Council, and I'm going there tomorrow to talk about a program that they've been working with RMIT and the University of New South Wales on microclimate. And they're going to give me a loan of one of the kits, and I'm going to find out what that program's all about. But as anyone, did you recall the news over the last couple of weeks where they said that Blacktown and the western suburbs, the climate is actually increasing more than what you would predict just from the climate change alone? So Monash University followed that up. And what they're saying is that the councils in Western Sydney are actually getting rid of green space faster than other places in Sydney. And they're making a comparison with Mossman and other places where there's a lot more green space. And part of the study is to actually measure that to see what councils can do to mitigate against those higher temperatures. So I'm going to work on that. The other thing, I'm getting active now with Mount Druitt Library, and this is part of the council library, and I'm preparing to have a STEM club for kids in terms 2 and 3. So that's what's happening there. I've done an online interview, a podcast with Peter Dalmaris, and there's the link if you want to go and see that. And it talked about some of the things that I'm working on at the moment. And this coming Saturday is Arduino Day, and I've been invited to give a couple of presentations at Sydney Uni. So that'll happen at 1 and 3 o'clock.
So you're quite busy, Phil.
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot on at the moment. So yeah, so it keeps me busy. Okay, just before the rain started, I went outdoors, and while it was sunny, I was putting my weather station in an outdoor environment. So there's just a couple of the photos that I took while I was installing this outdoor. So the weather station that we're going to work today doesn't have to work inside. It can also work outside, as long as you have a protective cover like this. And so I was interested in the outdoor measurements there. And it was being protected from the weather. Yeah, the other thing I've been working on is how can you let people with special needs know about the weather? So it's okay for us because we get numbers, and we can read the temperature, the pressure and the humidity. But what I did here was to actually work on some technology which would use icons, and the dial would tell you the temperature and whether it's hot or cold, or whether it's humid or dry. Okay, so it's I've been working on that. Now that will lead on to the next presentation, where we're going to look at the integration of the M5 Stick C with Lego. So you can see here I'm actually using Lego parts as part of the project, and I'll show you how you could work with Lego at the next presentation. But by the way, Anne, we've had a request from June.
Yeah, I read that, yeah.
Yeah, so is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we'll postpone the next session till after the school holidays.
So that's the 21st.
21st of next month.
Yep.
And is there anything special that you would like to at that session? Because one on Lego is based on what June requested.
No, I don't have any special things, Phil. It's just really would just be tying up things. You know, if I've got more questions about what I've been doing, and there's nothing specific that I.
Okay.
So.
Well, if you've got any questions, certainly bring them up, and we can go through those. Okay, so just looking overall, session 1, we were looking at what STEM was and what the maker culture was doing. So the maker culture was more into hobbyists putting electronics and little computers together, and they often didn't have a strict agenda. They would just make things that they were interested in doing. Whereas the STEM education had a much more vigorous approach in terms of having a curriculum and integrating science, technology, engineering, and mathematics all in the one environment. And part of that was a practical approach where you'd make something. In session 2, we actually started our first project, and that was the name badge. And we also did the watch. So we did 2 projects in that session. And in session 3, we started music, and we looked at the origin of electronic music, and we went on to have a look at a project. Only one project, 2 projects. One was the doorbell, quite a simple project where you just press button A and you got a musical chime. And we started looking at the 3-key piano, but that was only online. We didn't progress very much into that, and I left it up to you to have a look at. So today, I'll go over the 3-key piano, and I'll then bring up one of the demos that is the electronic organ, which is on the IDE. I'll just explain how that works. So you can take the 3-key piano and turn it into a full chromatic scale piano with the demo program, which is online. Well, today I wanted to look at climate change and particularly measuring the weather, and perhaps look at some of the reasons that we are doing that. Why do we take the measurements? And also perhaps look at some local issues. You might be interested in measuring the temperature somewhere in your house. So we'll look at that. I might look at the Citizens Climate Network, and that's an invitation from Blacktown to u3a, where ordinary citizens can go out, take measurements, and contribute to a study on climate change. Our projects today will be quite simple, but I will mention that there are more advanced ones that you could try later on. And the simple one is we're just going to have a text-based weather measurement. But I will also look at a graphical version of that. There's a fridge magnet version, and you can also look at extra parameters like monitoring carbon dioxide. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go as a revision through constructing the project on the 3-key piano. And one of the objectives there was to use a bit of color coding for music, and it was based on the Boomwhackers color standard. We wanted to put that same key eventually onto our M5 Stick C. So our 3-key piano, actually, when we do that, actually looks like traffic signals with the red, yellow, and the green stacked on top of each other. Okay, so this is where we want to go. Where all we're actually going to do is play with some geometrical shapes. That is, we're going to make a circle and 3 rectangles. And the best way to do this is actually just get a bit of graph paper and put in the coordinates of where you're starting from. So I might actually do that now. I'll switch cameras.
Can I ask a question, please, Phil? Do you know if there's any way to reduce the screen for Zoom? Because it's taking up my whole, I can't, you know how you can normally reduce what you're watching?
Yeah.
But I can't see a possibility of doing that. Do you know anything about that, Ian?
Well, the screen that I am seeing now is Phil's shared screen, and I can see us 3 in a little box which I can move around. Is that what you're talking about?
No, what I want to do is to be able to have this Zoom thing on one part of my screen, and then my M5 Stick C, how I programmed that, so that I can see that as Phil's going through it.
Well, if you look at the top right-hand corner of your screen, do you see the word view?
Yes.
Well, if you click on view,
Exit full screen.
Exit full screen.
Yes.
This will reduce it, and then
that's it. Thank you. That's what it is. Yes.
Then you can grab that and make it as big as you want it to.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Is that what you wanted? Okay.
That's what I wanted. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, I'm going to switch cameras. See if I can get the right one. Okay, so if you get a bit of graph paper and you start off by, I might get a bigger pen so you can actually see it. And the origin on our screen is this point. And on the graph paper, if I go to 80, so each one of these represents 10 pixels across the screen. So that's the X direction. And this is 0, 0. And X is 80, 0. So the Y direction is down here. So Now, just to show you that.
It's too small, Phil. Can't see that.
Okay, is that better now?
Well, can you do? Oh, anyway, I can't really understand it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, so the whole point of this is that it's probably better to use pen and pencil, paper and pencil, and draw in where the circle and where the rectangles are going, and that will help with your a better understanding. But it's a matter of knowing what X and Y mean. So the Y is where on the vertical direction your circle and where your rectangles will be. So it just helps in STEM education. This would be part of the mathematics behind drawing the geometrical shapes and where they go on the screen. Okay, so what I will do now, we'll just go back to, let's see, we'll go back to the integrated webcam. Okay, and can you still see the screen now? I think what happened there is that I probably should have stopped the sharing of the screen.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, and so that it would have been easier to see it that way. Okay, so just quickly before I start up the program, overall, this is what we want to achieve. This is our program. And it's got a setup area and nothing in the loop. And in the setup area, all we're doing is defining the variables. That is where Y is for the key position of the start, the finish. And when we jump, the circle jumps from key to key, we're jumping by 40. So that's the increment that we jump by. And our current position for Y, the key position for Y is 40. We're just setting that to start off with. When we have a note C or a note E, we land on 40, 80, and finally for G, the position for Y is 120.
Now, okay, I can see now, sorry to interrupt, but I've got my screen up and I can see I've missed that key pos Y, the last key pos Y. I haven't got that in mind, so that's what I need to put in.
Okay, so if you put that in, that will allow you to move the Y position or that key to the next.
Yes.
So perhaps you could try that.
Yes.
Now, the only other thing you have to do is process what happens when you press button A and button B. So button A, all it's simply going to do is track where the circle is and draw the circle in a new position. So the first thing it does, it just adds that increment. And remember, the increment is 40, and that's added on, so you end up in the next position. But when you get to the last position, it then resets it back to the first position because we've only got 3. So we're jumping from the top position down to the middle one, to the end one. And if we try to go beyond the end one with that greater one, we then reset to the start. So that's all. That's called an algorithm, and that's all that's happening here. So once we've calculated a new Y position, we draw a new circle with that new Y coordinate. So here we're saying use the position, the new position for Y, and draw a circle based on that new Y coordinate. X doesn't change. So it's only going to be the Y coordinate that is going to change. The last one, we're actually going to change the circle, the border of the circle, and also the color inside the circle. That's what those 2 statements do. Now, if we wanted to play the note, we find out where the current Y position is. And if it's in the C position, we then play note C. Okay, so this command, which is only available after you select the hat, the speaker hat, it then becomes available to you. And if it's not for C, it might be for E. And if it is for E, if the position of Y equals where Y for E should be, then it will play E. And finally, it tests to see whether it's the position for G. And if it is for G, it will play the note G. Now, what should happen here is that after it plays the note, it also fills in the circle. It starts off with a color of red before it plays the note. And after it finishes playing the note, it returns the circle back to a white circle. And all of that only happens once. And nothing will happen until you press one of the buttons again. So if you press button B again, it will just repeat this sequence of instructions one at a time. There's no loop, and it only does the processing of the setup commands only when you power up the device. So it doesn't go back there. So what I could do is actually construct that. And would you like me to construct that now?
Well, actually, I'm trying to make that change to mine because I can't really take in all of that stuff that you're just talking about. It's too complex for me. But what I'm trying to do is to get that last bit right. Set key pos Y to key pos Y start. And I'm just having a little bit of trouble getting that. So I go into the variables to get, when I go into my variables, I haven't got a set key pos Y.
Okay, how about I go through it step by step with the program?
Well, that'll be helpful for Ian anyway, yes.
Okay, so you might be able to see there. The other alternative would be if you could share your screen and we could have a look at it. That's another alternative.
Okay, so how do I do that?
I'm sharing. I should be able to let you, perhaps I've got some way of allowing you to share the screen. I haven't done this before, but it should be possible.
You have to make a co-host, Phil.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Okay. Perhaps we won't worry too much about doing that right now.
Okay, fair enough. It's only that last bit that I haven't got. But if you go through the process, that's fine.
I'll go through it, and you can have
the A and B. I think I've got that right, but it's the setup thing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'll just press the wrong program there. There it is. Okay. Now on my shared screen now, you should be able to see the UI flow program, and what we're going to do. I'll see if I can get a bit of a guide on where we're going. The first thing we're going to do is give it a name. So we might call this 3-key piano. 3-key piano, and it's a good idea to give it a version number. So I'll call it version number 1. Now, the next thing to do is, while you're in this area, we may as well add the hat. So we'll go and add a speaker hat. And we just click on the speaker and say, OK. So we've now got a hat, and it's a speaker hat. And we're going to start on the setup and add the variables. So we create, there's quite a number of variables here. So the first one, yeah, and they're really just for positions. So the key position for Y at the start of the program is the first one. So we've got one variable, and once we create that variable, the commands of all the things you can do with that variable also come up. So if you don't create any variables, these other two possible commands don't appear. So the first thing we're going to do is drag this one just under setup. And we want to set it to 40 because that's the starting position. And we just drag a number block, which is really just a position holder, and you need to type this in. So 40 goes under there. Now we're going to create other variables now. And the next one will be the key position Y finish. So we've got the start, now we're going to do the finish. And what I'll do is just quickly create the other ones. There's the key position, key Y position increment.
Phil, just let me ask you, how do you know to use that name? It says, do you want to create a variable? Yes, well, you're giving it a name. Is that just your personal knowledge? Or
that you can put any name you like.
oh, okay.
It's good to have a name which is relevant for what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Now since we're only changing Y is not, X has not been changed at all. So we're using variable names that represent concepts or represent something in our graph. So each of the circles or the position of our rectangle will use the same X, but the Y position will change. And all we're doing is just giving this a name as close as possible to the way we're thinking. So it's my name. Okay, so we've got two. The next one was the increment. So this is how much we jump. So how much the circle jumps. Key, position, and I think I've got key.
You need Y? Do you need a Y?
Yeah. Key Y, position, increment. So that's our next variable. Then we go on to create another one, which is the position of each of the keys. So it'll be key. For the C note, Y, position. And we do the same for the other two, which is
on your video, Phil, you wrote note, but it doesn't matter. You put notes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's key or note. Yep.
Key or note, that's right. And it might change you. And you know, if I was doing, say, off the top of my head, a presentation, I might create a variable name which is different from perhaps the previous one. Okay, so key EY position. So let's see, I should change that. I might go back to note because that's what I've got down here.
Yeah.
I've misspelled that.
I was going to say, if you misspell something, does it matter?
It doesn't matter, no. You can always change it. It's mainly for accuracy, I think. So we've got the first Y one. Now, that's note. What I might do is, I could rename that if I wanted to, but I'll just delete it.
Now that I was trying to rename some of them yesterday, and it changed all of them.
Well, it changed. Yeah, it changed them all within the program.
Yes. So I found that I needed to keep on going to create variable. I wasn't able to just change something on it, but you think you normally should be able to.
Okay, I'll just create the other ones.
Yeah.
So the next one was note E. And the final one is note G, position. Now there's only one more variable, and this might have been the one that you missed out on. which is key. No, that's enough. We've got enough now.
Well, on your thing beforehand, you had something that I didn't have. It was, I've forgotten, it was pos Y to pos Y or something or other. I haven't written it down.
Well, the ones, there's one at the start. So we're only talking about Y, the start, the finish, the increment, where note C is, where note E, and where note G is. So that they're the only ones that you need.
Oh, well, you had something else up before, because that's what I said when I was looking at my screen and your screen, you had something underneath. And I thought that was what I was missing, but I can't see it because I've taken it off, I can't see it. But
okay, well, we haven't put in the other commands at the start yet.
Okay. Oh, well, it's to do with the commands. Okay, yep.
Okay, yeah, it'll be at the commands. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. The simplest way is just to put your mouse over the first one and duplicate it. And we're going to duplicate it how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to duplicate it 8 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's 8, isn't it? So the first one is correct, and it's 40. But the next one is the finish. So just pull down the selection until you get key position Y finish. And the finish position will be 120.
That's helpful, Phil, because to be able to do it that way is much simpler. And the fact that the options actually come up for you makes it very clear. So that's good.
So yeah, it's an easier way to do it, I think.
Yes.
And perhaps even a quicker way.
Yeah.
But the next one we want to do was the increment for Y, and that increment is also 40.
Yep.
And the next one is the current Y position, which is...
Yes, I've actually got just key pos Y there, so it should say key pos. What should it say?
Key pos Y, we should have. Actually,
okay,
I think we're probably missing that one. So key position Y, and this is the only one which changes. It's one that I had left out. And there it is there. So the key position for Y is also 40 because that's the start. And the other ones, these don't change. So the C note will be at 40. The one after C will be E. And that's going to be 40 plus 40, which will be 80. And the final one will be for G, which is another 40, 120. And we're going to set the start position is going to be, you don't have to do this because we've already done it. But another way to do it would be to set the start position, take that one away, and we'll set it to the start. So that's the current position. So there's 2 ways of doing it. I can do it using this as a variable. This is a fixed command. The other one actually is a variable one. And we don't really need to use both, but it's an alternative. So I'll delete that one. And that should be enough to get us going.
Well, see, that's what I had, and it didn't, that's what I thought was my problem, because I didn't have that last step. But you think I don't need that last
Well, you don't need it because you've already, remember, these only are executed at one time. So it just goes down, but there is an alternative. You could make that into an algebraic statement, instead of being a fixed statement.
Okay, so I can delete that. The thing
Yeah,
that
you
I've
can
just-
delete. Yeah,
I
you can delete that.
Right. See, that's what well, that's exactly how I had that part before. So interesting. Maybe there is a problem in the A and B then.
Yeah, there could be a problem there. We'll construct that one. So,
and do we have a loop underneath that setup?
no, you don't need it, but we'll put it there anyway. Even if you put it there, it's empty.
Oh, okay.
So you can put it there as it's good practice to always have it.
Yep.
But in this case here, we're not going to do anything.
Okay, right. Thanks. That's helpful, Phil. All these little bits, it's helpful because when you don't know what you're doing, it's good to know a bit more about the system. Yeah.
And what we're going to do is when you press button A, we're then going to have the sequence of commands just under that. Now, the first thing we do when we press button A is just change the position of Y by the increment. So what I do is to set Y, position Y, and I need a bit of maths. So I go down to the maths and I look for an equation builder. So this has placeholders that will allow me to pop in other variables in here. So these two black spaces. And the first one is whatever your current position is, which is key position Y, just add an increment to it. There, I've lost that again. And that sometimes happens, just pop it back in again. So we're going to add the increment, which is the Y increment, to wherever you are at the moment, and that is your new position.
Yep, yep, I got that.
And the next thing is just a bit of logic. If we're at the end, and so we get an if, and there's a statement. If this is true, then do whatever's in this little space. So all we do is populate these now. And we go back to our logic and grab the condition. And the condition is, if the variable key position Y is at the end, is at the finish, and what we want to do is, if it's greater than the finish, because we'll allow it to be at the finish, but if it tries to go beyond there, we'll reset it to the start position. So we'll just set the current position to the start position. Now, remember that start position, we've already defined that over here to be 40. Okay, so that will never change. The way that we could have put 40 in here as an alternative, but this makes the program a bit more readable, so it's easier to follow. And so we've done that. And all we have to do now is draw the circle. So under this group called user interface, we've noticed we've got almost nothing. And we need to start populating this area ourselves. So one of the first things to do is perhaps put in the program name. And the program name could be as similar to what you have up there. So you can give it a name, 3, key, piano, version 1. And that will appear right on top. Now, that will occupy X from 0 to 80 and Y 0 to 20. And what we're going to do is put our first rectangle under here, just under that one. We'll open up rectangle 0. It's got the width we want to be 40. And you notice when we change it, it also changes on the screen. Okay, now, since X and Y, we know that Y should be at 20, not 18. So it's going to overlap a little bit. And we know that X should be around about 22. And that allows our first key to be correctly positioned where we want it. Now we can open it up again, and we notice that the background color is white, but we want it to be red because we're following that color standard. And we'll just leave the border color as it is. So the first one's correct. And you'll notice that it's now added additional possible commands that relate to that user interface. Whereas before there was nothing, now there's 2 extra ones. Oh, there was one for screen because we only had a black screen. So if you click on that one, it gives you all the possible commands that you can do with that rectangle. Now we do that, since we've got 3 keys, we do the same again. And again, with our graph paper, we know that it's going to have a width of 40 and a height of 40. The position for X is wrong, so we'll make that. The position for Y is correct. The width and the height are correct. And we go down here and we select as close as possible. So you notice as I'm doing it a selection twice here. Once along this spectrum, and the second one is the type of hue that I want to add to yellow. So I'll go up here, and that gives me yellow, the middle key. And we've only got one more to do. So we don't want text. We want to bring the roughly to where we want it to go. And here it's going to be a width of 40. 40. Remember, X is going to be the same, 20. And the Y position should be, let's see, 100. Now the color for that one is green, almost like traffic signals. So we go here, click on the hue, and we've now constructed the keys, but we haven't got our circle yet. So we just go and grab circle, and we'll put circle right in the middle. We'll open it up, and it should be at 40, because that's where our graph would have indicated, 40, 40, and we'll let the radius be 10 for the time being. Just leave it at that. And what we want to do is change the Y coordinate, not the X coordinate, of the circle as it jumps from key to key. And we do that when we press button A. So if we go over here, we've now got circle. And now we can add the we can change the color. So we'll only bother with changing not the border, but the color of the circle. There is only one circle, and we're going to change that to white. And we also need to go back to circle, and we look for where we can place circles. So this one here allows us to change the Y coordinate of the circle to wherever we want it to go. And the position should be the current position for Y. And that's all we really have to do when we're processing what happens when we press button A. And we do the same with button B. So we go to Event and select button one, the button command. We pull down the menu and we then select button B. Now here, we change the circle. As soon as we press button B, we want to play the note, but we also want to change the color of the circle to red. So the first thing we might do is bring the circle in, and it's already selected as red. We could change that color to one of the other colors if we wanted to. So it's doing what is intended. And I won't bother putting in the bordering because it doesn't really matter. Now, the first thing we want to do, if the position of Y is in the C position, we'll play the note. So there's a little bit of logic that's needed here. And the logic we're going to select is if something happens, do this, else you've got another condition that you can test and do something extra if you want to. So all we have to do now is populate each of these areas in the if, do, else statement. So the next thing we need to do is a bit of logic, and we grab the condition. And since we're processing key Y, we grab the key Y position. It's jumped out again. Put it back in. And if it equals where the note is for C, we'll go and grab that note. Where's C? So if that condition is met, if the current Y position of our circle is on C, then play the note. So if we go down to our hat, we've got speaker, and what we want to do is play the note. So we bring that across and we'll play only for one beat. And that'll be low C. So if we're in the C position, play the note. And we're going to repeat that. So we can just duplicate all that again. And this time, instead of for C, it'll be E. So if it's in the E position, play the note E. And the final one, there's only one condition. So instead of if, do, and else, we go to logic and just have an if, because there's nothing else to test after that. And I go to test for G. So if the Y position is in the G position, play note G. So we duplicate that one and we pop it under here, but we want to change that to G.
Excuse me, Phil, on mine, you've got hat speaker 0, I've got hat speaker 1. Is that a problem?
No, it's not a problem.
So all of mine say hat speaker 1.
That's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as everything's consistent.
Okay.
And it's really just giving a name
Okay.
to it. So it decided, I don't know why it did that. It makes sense if it's 0. And
I don't know either why it went to that, but it did. So anyway.
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you wiped everything, it's likely that the next time you use that again, it might be hat speaker 2.
Oh, okay. Right.
Okay, so, but it's of no consequence.
Right.
Now, what we want to do is, after we've played the note, we want to change the color of the circle back to white. So we'll duplicate that and pop it in as our last statement. And we just select the white color for the circle. So what's happening when we press button B, the color of the circle goes red, and it then checks to see where we are. If we happen to be at C, it will play the note C, and it also tests if it's not C, it then tests for the other positions and plays the corresponding note for that position. And that's the whole program. And it doesn't get any more complicated than that.
That's complicated enough.
I reckon.
Oh, Anne, just let me ask you, you've said it a few times that you've done this, you've done that. Have you had this program before? Because
I did last night from the YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I say I got it onto my little stick, but the circle didn't move. So I was following all the steps that Phil had in his YouTube thing. I think this live one would probably be really good for June to listen to this rather than the video, because I think there's somehow you've explained a few things a bit differently, a bit clearer, I think, Phil. from
Okay.
today and on the YouTube, because I suppose because there's a bit of interaction, it's probably better. But so I'm going to be interested to see if I can reload what I've got now, because I've got exactly the same as what you've got.
You have to be quite careful, because if it's not moving Y, the only thing I can suspect is that this statement here set the circle with a new Y coordinate. You've probably got that wrong.
But I haven't. I've got exactly what you've got.
Okay.
Set circle 0, Y, key pos Y.
Okay. Oh.
See, that's what I can't understand, but I will try again to load this on. When we have a break, we'll probably have a break in a minute.
Well, what you can do, Anne, is send me an email with an attachment of your program.
Okay. How do I copy the program? I did take a photo of it last night, but it's not as easy to...
Well, you can save it. So what
I have saved it. Yes, I've saved it.
And when you send me an email, you can...
oh, yes, attach that. Yeah.
Just attach the program, and I will analyze your program and tell you what's wrong with it.
But I mean, I did find the one mistake that I made where I didn't have the greater than, and then I changed that, and then I did it again, but I'm not sure. But as I say, the sound is there. It's just the circle isn't moving.
Right. Okay. I guess one thing you can do is debug your program. So what you could do is put a little bit more text. I'll just show you this as an aside. So I'm going to get one of these labels, and I'm going to put it right on the bottom. And this helps to work out what's gone wrong with your program. So if I put a text there, and I'm interested to know where Y is it changing, for example? I can go to the label. Well, I might actually give it a name. Let's see, it's label 0. So I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to put it under there. And in label, if you open that text up, it's label 0.
Mine says label 3.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. As long as it's consistent and you don't have other labels in there.
No. Oh, well, I've got the title. Okay, no, I haven't got a label. I've got a title. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so instead of saying hello M5, what we'll put down here is the position of Y.
And where are we putting that?
Well, we're going to put it in two places.
And so you went into variables, did you?
Yeah, I'll do it again. I'll delete that one, and I'll delete it.
Oh, I'm clicking on yours. That one's not working.
So the first thing we do is we're debugging our program because we think there's something wrong, and we want to get help from a bit of extra information that we put onto the program.
Okay.
So the first thing we did was to grab label and put it under here.
Yes.
And when we click on that, we notice that the label is label 0. In your case, it might be label 3.
Yes.
And the next thing we do is that we want to populate that label with the position of Y. So the way we...
just a bit slow. UI flow, and then you go into label.
That's right.
Okay, and it says hello. Yeah, okay, right. So I'm with you now.
Okay, so you've got it down here on the bottom.
Yep, and I'm into the label where it says hello M5.
Yep.
I've got label. I need to change it to label 3, do I? Because mine said it was label 3.
No, don't worry about that. Just
okay.
Take it as it is. Oh, no, I took the wrong one out. We're going to go to all the possible things you can do with labels. Grab the top one.
Yes.
And put it under as the last statement when you're processing button A.
Under the circles. Right.
Under circle, that's right.
Yes.
Now, what you want to show is the Y position. So bring this variable across and click it under there. And what will happen is that the last thing...
The key Y pos variable. Okay.
And-
Move that across.
Yeah. And
okay, yep.
we won't put it anywhere else. Just there is probably enough.
Yes.
And another possible thing is you could actually put it over here. That's another possibility.
So which would be better? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. No.
Okay, right.
So what we're doing now is just adding a little, because it's not doing what we want it to do. We're trying to debug the program to find out what's happening.
Okay.
And so what we do now is we can save the program. So right on the bottom,
yep.
The first thing to do is just save it, just in case. Let's say we want to put it under the right area. It's 5 stick C. I'm not in the right area at the moment. I want it to go to documents. And it'll be M5 stack, and we'll save it here. Now that we've saved it, and our M5 stick C is ready, so you have to go and make sure that your screen shows, for you, Anne, it should have the API key, and you should be able to pair it ready for downloading.
Yes, I'm just restarting it because I seem to have to restart it to be able to.
That's right. You've got to restart it. That'll wipe your current program in the M5 stick C.
Doesn't seem to do that. Doesn't wipe it off, but it should it?
Yeah, it should. It should, let's see. Well, for you, it should look a bit like this. See if I can get it.
Oh, no, it's not doing it.
I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And yours should look like that.
Yeah, it normally does, but at the moment I'm having a bit of trouble getting it to go back to that.
Okay. Now for Ian, he's going to use the USB connection. And for Ian, it should look like that. And it should say USB.
On this particular one, I'm pressing the actual M5 where yours says E3. I'm pressing M5. Is that the one to press?
Well, not on the program, but on the device itself, on the M5 stick C. Yeah. The first thing you do is to press the power reset. And then you press button B until you get the screen that you want. So for you, you're using the desktop version, so you want to get that screen.
I've never seen that screen. I'm pressing the button on the right hand side as I look at the screen. Is that B?
You're pressing the button. The button B is on the bottom here.
I can't see. Button B, is that? Yeah, that's correct. Well, I press that, and it says it comes up. It says test mode, IR send, and I press it again. It says temperature, humidity 000. Press it again. It says test mode, blue disconnect. It shows a Bluetooth image. Then I press it again.
Can you show me what it looks like on? Put it to the camera. You haven't got it there.
Hang on a sec. This is the start. This is the starting point. It's back to front because of where we are. Now I press this again. It shows. It almost looks like a landscape.
Oh, okay.
And then I press. Hang on, stay with me. I press it again.
Yep. Okay.
I get that.
Yep.
Press it again. Press it again.
I can see what's happening, Ian.
Okay.
You need to flash it. You had it. I think what's happened is that that's a new one.
Yeah.
And you haven't flashed the new one.
Okay.
So you need to put remember the burner program?
No, I wasn't involved with that.
M5 burner. Well, the best thing to do is to give it to me and I'll flash it for you.
Okay.
Okay. At the moment, all you've got is a demo program.
Right.
And your computer at the moment cannot accept a program uploaded from your PC.
Okay, I understand that.
And the only way to do it is to flash it with the correct firmware.
Okay, well, can you send the firmware to me?
Yeah, you can do it yourself with the M5 burner.
Yeah.
And I can go through, there is a video on that, but what you do, you select the right computer and you make sure that it's connected to your USB port. And what will happen is that you'll be able to upload the correct firmware, and it's called the UI Flow firmware, and that goes into your M5 Stick C.
I think I've got all that. Just bear with me. I'm at a bit of disadvantage here because I'm using June's computer and I've saved some stuff. I've got a folder here called M5 Stack, and inside this folder I have UI Flow Desktop IDE EXE. I have the that brings up what we've been working on. Then it says a watch. That was the watch that I created when we were on holidays.
Yeah.
I've got stack instructions doc, name badge, with the file extension of M5F. And then the other stuff is just file folders. So if I can download the M5 burner.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do it right now. I'll do a screen presentation of what you need to do.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is share the screen
Just
again.
out for a minute. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the burner program. And I'm going to share the screen. Okay. Now this is the program that you need to get going, to execute. So have you seen this program before?
No. Now I'm looking at the 6 pictures on my screen now.
Okay, I'll just show you how to get it. So we'll stop this one. I'm going to open the documents area. Okay, now under documents, M5 Stack,
yeah,
you should have the programs, all the programs that you're working with for this course. The one that you downloaded was M5 Burner, and that was in a compressed state.
Yeah.
You had to uncompress that, and when you did that, it created a folder called M5 Burner.
Yeah, actually, I think I've got that on my laptop.
Okay. Now, yeah, you only have to do this once.
Yeah.
So you've done it for the old, your first M5 Stick C, but you need to do it. If you get a new M5 Stick C, you need to go through that same process again.
Okay, just hang on a sec. Just let me have a quick look at my laptop.
Okay. And we just discovered another problem. And what happened was that Ian, he changed the firmware correctly, but when his new computer arrived, he didn't update the firmware.
Right.
And it shows the original demo program.
Yep. Yep.
So you know how we had to
yes,
do it here?
Yes.
On the computer that came from China that Ian and June ordered, it needs to be uploaded. That firmware needs to be in position.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
yeah, that's what the problem is.
Yeah, well, Phil, I downloaded again that program,
Yep.
and nothing's changed. It still makes the sound, but the circle doesn't move. But what is the point of this? You know, finding out where the bugs are. How do you find out where the bugs are from putting that thing in?
Well, what you do there, you make a statement. You think, oh well, is the variable y changing? And you're getting just a bit of feedback on that. So it's just helping you.
How do you get that?
Well, it's built into the program. When you add that extra command, it will show you what the variable y is. And if it is changing, it's really just an additional step to help you find out what's wrong with your program. It's not really necessary to do it. It's only
it doesn't show anything. Nothing comes up. So anyway, it doesn't matter. Go back to Ian, because that's more important at this stage.
Yeah, no, I thought I had Burner on my laptop. It's not there, but you can either send it to me, and I can deal with compressed programs. I'm not quite sure whether June's computer has that, but I can do that.
Well, the program is available on Dropbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or you can go to the M5 Stacks website and you can download the program there. So
okay.
There's a couple of options you've got there.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, it's probably better to do it after we're finished. But
Yes.
what I can do is just show you, once you've got it uncompressed, fire it up. And that's what we're doing at the moment. We're sharing the screen.
Yeah.
Why isn't it working? Oh, it's coming up now. It's just a bit slow, that's all. I'm bringing it across. And what you need to do, if you've got a number of things connected to your computer, you need to select the right port. And I know that I'm on port 4, not 12. So that's the first thing. The second thing,
the port 4 comes up on June's computer, but on mine it comes up on COM5.
That's okay. It will be different for every computer.
Okay.
What you can do is look for Device Manager and just check the port number on Device Manager.
Okay.
By unplugging, and it will show you.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. So once you get there, go to Stick C, and you'll need to download it. Initially, it will say download.
That's Stick Plus. You don't want that one, though, do you?
No, we want to use the latest one. Is they've just increased the version number.
Yes.
So we were over here at one stage. Now there's a more recent one. I've downloaded it, and since I'm on the port 4, you just press burn, and you put your Wi-Fi credentials here, the name of your Wi-Fi, and the password for your Wi-Fi, and then you press start. And your screen should look something like this. And this will take about 2 minutes. It goes through and it's burning the firmware into your M5 Stick C. And you'll get a message right at the end.
I've actually seen this screen before, Phil. I don't know why.
Yeah. The reason is that you did it for your first M5 Stick C, and it was correctly configured.
Okay.
But your new M5 Stick C, you have to go through the same procedure again.
Understand.
What happened to me, Ian, was that it kept on saying that the burn failed. So that's why it didn't work for me to do it through the desktop. I had to get Phil to burn it, to burn it onto the thing. So
Okay.
it's complicated.
Sounds like somebody's marriage.
Okay. Let's see. So if you have any problems with that, Ian, let me know and we can go through it step by step.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. What would you like to have a break now?
That's probably a good idea.
Okay, we can have a cup of coffee.
Yep.
And say in 10 minutes, what I'll do is to show you how to connect your weather station hat called environmental hat, and we'll do a simple program. The program is really simple, but you'll be able to read the temperature, humidity, and pressure into your M5 stick C.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do that in 10 minutes from now. So it's, say about 11:30, we'll resume.
Okay.
And we'll just have a quick break.
Okay, thanks.
Phil, you said about sending you a program. So I just go into the save programs at the top where it says open, and
Yep.
open that, and then I can just attach that to an email to you. Is that what you said?
Yes, send me an email with the attached program.
Yep. Okay.
I'll run the program and I'll tell you what's wrong with it.
Okay. All right.
And we can do all that by email.
Okay. Right. And I think I might try and follow your thing with the environmental thing on my thing as you do it, so that I'm actually doing it at the same time as you're doing it. That, I think that might be helpful if I can do that. Just have a new screen.
Okay, I'll do it both. You'll have it available as part of this video, but I'll also make a YouTube video of it also.
Yep. Yep. Okay, good. Let's have a break.
Okay, see you in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Oh, well, welcome back again.
No worries.
What I won't go through my presentation in terms, but you can have a look at that from Dropbox later on. But what I will do is give you the important part, which is how to get your program working as a weather station.
Okay.
Okay, so if we're ready to go, I'll just switch. You should be able to see the screen now, and it says text weather. Can you see that on your screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Text weather flow code, yeah.
So I'll go back to the program. Now, to start a new program, you go to the top right, click on that, and it will delete your whole workspace. And you can start with a new program. And this one will actually call weather. So we're actually going to, our weather station will do everything except measure the rain.
We don't need to do that.
You can, it's quite accurate, and you can use it indoors or outdoors, or put it on your wrist if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to switch off the screen for a second so that we can make sure that we're using the right device. So stop sharing. Right, now with your M5 Stick C, you get your environmental hat. So it looks like this, smaller than the other one. And if you look at the back of it, it tells you what it is. So it'll actually say, let's see, I don't know if hard to read that.
Yes.
It's got a little blue, and it says, there it is.
Environment 2.
Environment 2. Now, it's important that you select environment 2, not environment 1 or environment, because the device you have is the latest one. It's a more recent version, and it's much more accurate than environment 1 or environment. Okay, so if we stick to that all the way through, it should be okay. So we go back to sharing the program again, sharing the screen. Right. Now, what we'll do here, we've given the program a name, and the next thing we do is go to the hats and select the right hat. So when you press that, the first hat is called E and V for environment. Don't select that one. Keep on going down to the last one, and it's a more recent one called ENV2. So click on that, and you press OK. Now, when you go here, just have a look at the commands which are available. So it's actually going to give you all the possible commands for your new environmental hat. So this is going to be quite easy. We should be able to do it fairly quickly. The first thing I do is normally grab title and give the program a name. So we're going to call it W for weather, weather version 1, say, WV1. And what I want to do is put some labels on the screen that tell me what the parameters are. So I'm going to put ones which are fixed for the name to identify what the measurement is, and the other one will vary according to what the sensor is able to measure. So I'm going to do this 6 times. 1, and for label 0, I'm going to call that temperature or temp with a colon after it. The next label will be the actual temperature. I'll just leave it as it is, as text. And I do the same for humidity and I do the same for pressure. So all I'm doing is grabbing labels and putting them down. Now, for humidity, I'm going to call that HUM colon. And you notice it changes on the screen. And this is what we want our M5 Stick C screen to look like. The last one was pressure. And we go to text and we call that pressure. The next thing we do is we select loop, and we've got two parts. We've got setup and loop. And we're going to create three variables. The first variable is called temperature. And it's probably a good idea to make it slightly different in case it's a reserved name. So I'm going to change it. And Ian, you mentioned a name. You can make up any name you like at this stage.
Okay.
And this one I'm going to call my temperature. So all the commands for my temperature will come up, and I'm going to do the same for humidity. My humidity. And I do the same for pressure. My pressure. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set those. So I'm going to set my pressure, and I'm going to repeat that 3 times under setup. So the first one is temperature. Next one is humidity. And I'm going to do a bit of maths here and just set them all to 0. 0, duplicate that. All I'm doing here is initializing, and it will only happen once, but that's not what I want under normal conditions. And what I want to do now is to set the real temperature, humidity, and pressure. And the way I do it is to get these variables again, set temperature, and I go down to environment, and I look for the temperature one. So I click this one onto where it says my temperature. Get from the environmental hat temperature, and it sets that to my temperature.
Phil, where did you get the loop from?
The loop comes from event.
Thank you.
So if you press event, the first,
yes.
Just there.
Yep, thanks.
Now I repeat that for the other variables, set. So I'm actually not working strictly in line here. What I could do is to get the temperature and then display it immediately. So where I want to display it is in label 1. So I grab the label command, I select label 1, and I want to show my temperature, not hello M5. So I grab my temperature and click it right under, click it in that command. So what's going to happen now is it will get the temperature, set it to the variable my temperature, and it will show my temperature on label 1.
Phil, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to do it as you talk. But where did you get the get temperature from? I need to concentrate more on what you're saying.
When you selected the environmental hat, have you done that?
Yes, environment 2, get. Yeah. Okay, yep, good, thanks.
Yeah, when you go there, open up the C hat.
Yep, and environment 2. Yeah, I can see them now. Yes.
Yeah, you've got them all there now.
I do, yeah. Yes.
Now, they will only appear if you clicked on the environmental 2 when you were looking for hats.
Okay, right.
Now, all we do now for the rest of the program is repeat that for the other variables. So we'll go down to set, and this will be humidity, set, and we go down to hat, environmental 2, and we get humidity. Drag that across and just click it under, and it will set my humidity variable to whatever measurement it takes from the humidity sensor. And we'll duplicate label 1, but we then just click on where it says text, and we notice that's label 3. And we then select label 3, and instead of my temperature, we'll make that my humidity. So it's going to read my humidity, set the variable my humidity to the sensor measurement, and then show on label 3 what that variable says. And we've only got to do that again for pressure. So we'll we want to set pressure, then go to the environmental commands, select pressure, drag it across, and we then set my pressure to the value that comes from the pressure sensor. So we've got 3 sensors here. We've got temperature, humidity, and pressure. And this final label is label 5. So we then select label 5, and we'll select set that to my pressure. So all of these all correspond. That's set the variable, then put it onto the label, the correct label, and you've got temperature, humidity, and pressure. It's going to go round really quickly. And what we'll do is slow the program down to make it easier for us to read it. So we'll go to timer, and we'll wait 1 second and pop that under. So after we've executed these commands, we just stop there for 1 second and repeat the whole process over and over again. And that's the whole program. That's it. So all we do now is that we've got a name, weather. We'll call it version 1. We'll save that program, and it's going to go into the right area, that is documents, M5 stack, and it'll be weather version 1. Next thing we do is we connect our, what I'll do is I'll turn off the screen sharing and show you what I'm doing. I'm going to get hold of the M5 stick C, and I've just got to align it correctly. I'm going to put the hat on. So just make sure you've got the environmental hat and not the speaker hat. Plug it in to USB on your computer. And I'm going to use the USB connection. So it's going to look like that. And the way I got that was to reset and press button B until I get that screen. And Ian, you'll be able to do it when you get the right firmware.
Yeah.
So the next thing I do is go back to the program. I'm going to share the screen again. And I'm going to check that I've got a connection between my PC and the M5 Stick C. So I'll go down to the bottom of the screen, refresh the status, and it says connected.
Phil, just one question there. Whenever I've played around with this, I never see connected. It always says not connected. Is that because it needs to be burned up?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, you won't be able to progress until you repeat that step again.
Understand, yeah.
Okay, so now we're ready. We'll just upload the program to our M5 Stick C. So we just press the button at the end there on the bottom, and it's showing upload. It's successfully uploaded. And I'll show you what it says on the screen. So I'm going to stop sharing. So on the top line.
Mine does it. I've got it.
Have you got it working?
Yeah, it says, but it says, mine says 27, yeah. Pressure is 98834. Yeah, mine's working.
Oh, that's good. Excellent.
Congratulations, Anne.
Now, you might be able to, what's wrong with it? I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
Oh, it's all over the place. It's all over the place.
What's happened? It's too accurate.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And what we want to do
reduce the decimal places.
Yeah, we want to reduce that. So perhaps one decimal place is probably enough, whereas it's trying to show about 10 decimal places.
Yeah.
And I'll show you how to do that. There's a bit of a trick on that, and the program will be on Dropbox, so you can see it later. Now this is how you adjust it. We'll share the screen 2. Now the way to overcome that is when you go to Maths, you select round. See where it says round?
Yep.
So instead of my temperature, round it and click it under where it was before. And we'll do the same with the others.
Okay.
We'll do the same. Where is it? Round. We'll go to Maths. Where's Maths? There it is.
Okay.
Maths, round. And we'll duplicate that also for the last one. So with the humidity, we click that in and we'll put it into round where it says set. Put it in the wrong one. Now this way we keep the high level precision within the computer, but we only show it rounded to no decimal places. And we do the same thing for pressure. So that now becomes version 2. And we can save that. And we have to go through the same process again, reset, make sure we're on USB, which I am on USB. And the next thing we do is just check that we're connected and the screen says connected, so we're okay. And we finally upload that version of the program to our M5 Now I'll stop sharing and see if you can see the difference.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to try again. So I have to restart it though, don't I?
That's right. Restart, and you have to go on, make sure that it's paired before you can get there.
Okay.
Now, there is a trick to that where you can have one decimal place, and that's probably as much as you want. Okay, and I won't go into that here, but I will have the program on the Dropbox, so it will show at least one decimal place. And that's all there is to that. It's quite simple to do.
Yeah, mine's except for humidity. I mustn't have changed that properly. That's interesting. Oh no, I haven't got a round in the humidity part. Okay, because humidity's still got all the numbers. Okay, I just need to.
Okay, so the sensors that you have on here are very, very accurate, and you need to be able to keep them away from something hot. Otherwise, you're going to measure the temperature of the object. So if you put your hand over it, it's measuring the temperature of your hand, not the temperature of the air. And one of the reasons why it's on top is that the little computer is going to be slightly hotter than the ambient temperature or the air temperature outside. So you've got to be careful that while you've got quite a precise measurement, it's the way that you record it is important, and the way that you have it positioned to make sure that you're getting the air temperature, the humidity and pressure. So don't leave it next to your cup of coffee. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit warmer. And it's one of the reasons why, if you look around, you might get different readings from different computers and hats. Now, that's as far as I wanted to go today. I think that's probably enough. But what you could also do is put on another sensor and record, say, carbon dioxide, and record all four, so you can have temperature, humidity, pressure, and carbon dioxide. And the way you do that, see if I can get it here. I haven't got the carbon dioxide one, but I'll show you one which is similar. I'll stop sharing the screen. And this one is measuring ultraviolet radiation. And it's able to show me on my screen the UV index according to the World Health Organization standard. And I can put a color on my screen according to the index value. So that can be quite a useful thing for people to know that the outside ultraviolet radiation is very strong, and they should limit their the amount of exposure they have to that. So the way I did that is that I'm only measuring ultraviolet radiation. I'm doing that as a unit. So the cable here connects to the end of the M5 stick C, and the Grove cable, let's see if I can, goes to the sensor. So it has to be, all of these sensors all have the same electrical standard, but they measure different things. Okay, I think that's probably as much as I want to go through. Perhaps just one other one. I've got a GPS sensor here. So instead of the ultraviolet radiation, I've got a hat, which is the Environment 2 hat, and I've got GPS. So on this particular version, I'm recording the GPS coordinates and GPS time together with temperature, pressure, and humidity onto the screen of my M5 stick C. Okay, so by mixing and selecting different sensors, you can record different things with your M5 stick C. But today is the first time that you've actually used a sensor. And the other device you used was the speaker. So that sort of complements. One is sensing and the other one is acting as an actuator. Okay, so I'd like to leave it at that today.
That's fine.
And the session has been recorded, so you can have a look at it. And the fuller presentation is also on Dropbox if you want to have a look at that too.
Okay.
Okay, so is there any questions at all?
Well, I think the questions will follow.
Yeah, yeah, because I think it's when you do it that you have the questions. And on my screen, I needed to change the position. I didn't get my things into very good position. So oh, that's interesting. I haven't got the word temperature. Why would that be? Anyway, and you could change the font, couldn't you? You could change the size of those.
That's right. You can make them bigger so they're easier to see.
Yeah.
And you might not want them all. Perhaps you're only interested in the temperature. So make that as big as you can. Don't
Yeah.
show all the numbers. It's not that precise. Just show it to perhaps 1 decimal place. And if you can do that, that's probably enough for the normal type of readings that you would take in your house.
Well, we've changed it to just have to no decimal place. So I think that would be enough for me anyway.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yes. But why would I not have the word temperature there? I've got humidity and pressure. Anyway.
Just reposition it. It may not be.
Oh, I've moved. Yes, it might not be able to be there. Yeah.
Just move it down a little bit. And it's a good idea to start off with the smallest font, particularly if you're trying to put a lot of information on a tiny little screen.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Then you can go through it increment by increment, a refinement to your program to make the font size a bit bigger.
Yes.
Okay. You can imagine with that last one I showed you, where I'm showing temperature, humidity, and pressure, together with latitude, longitude, and time, it's quite a tight fit on the little screen.
Yes.
But it can be done.
Okay. Right. Okay. Good. Well, that was good. It was good to be able to do it as you were doing it, because I didn't have to ask, like I could ask you questions as I was doing it, so that's good. So,
okay.
So it works.
That's good. It's good to see that you got it working today. Excellent. Congratulations.
Good on you.
Now, that hat and unit is one of about 200 different sensors that you could put on your device. Wow. So you can actually get quite creative with it.
So Phil, the stick only has how many minutes charge?
There are about 30 units from M5 stick C.
No, the charge on how long does it last for? 40 minutes or something like that? What did you say before?
Yeah, on the next session, I'm going to go through that in detail. At the moment, it will only last about, say, about 40 minutes.
Right.
And if you want to go further, see, there's a version I've got at the moment where the M5 stick C sits on top of a bigger battery.
Oh, right. Okay.
And that it fits on top, and the hat actually goes on the battery unit. See, right. Yeah. But at the other side of it, I've accommodated a carbon dioxide measurement.
Right.
So I can actually just walk around with this, measure carbon dioxide at temperature, humidity, and pressure, and this will last almost all day.
Okay.
Okay, so to do that, that stick is compatible. It's actually designed for the M5 stick C, and it costs about $7.
Oh, okay.
And what you do, you charge it. There's a, at the end of it, there's a USB-C connection. And what you do is you're powering the battery inside the battery holder.
Okay. Yes.
But there's other ways too. It's possible to program your U5 stick C to go to sleep.
Oh, okay. So you're going to talk about that next time?
I'll talk about that next time.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave it at that today. We're just right on time.
Good. Yes.
And it's a bit different from the way that I was going to go, but I think that's good because I'm responding to the issues that you're bringing up.
I think this is really important, Phil, for me anyway, and just because it helps me understand better. I will send you an email with the my program on it for the piano. Okay. Yeah, to see if there's anything there that why doesn't the circle move?
I'll have a look at that. And one note is that most of the time I don't start from scratch. I normally go into a library program and change that. And 90% of my projects are based on what other people have done. and shared in libraries.
Okay.
So you don't, the amount of work that you've put in to get the 3 key piano working is a lot more than what you would normally have to do. And what you can do is just go to the demos, you know, when you go to the UI flow.
Yeah, but they've only got the organ there, haven't they?
No, you've got quite a few of them.
Okay.
And what you can do is just look at those demos, see how they work, and you could modify it to suit your needs.
That's something else we can talk about next time too, in a bit more detail perhaps about.
That's right. But that means that you don't have to spend a lot of time programming, just as long as you can read. It's a bit like when you go to school, there's just 2 sides of the coin. There's the reading and the writing. And you can read other people's programs, modify them, and you can get it done in a much shorter time.
Okay, good.
But we'll talk about that next time.
Okay, thank you very much, Bill. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Anne.
Bye.
Thanks, Ian.
No worries. We'll be
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.